Welcome to the Big Fat Real Estate Checks podcast with Marco Kozlowski, where we help investors like you get the knowledge and skills you need to replace your JOB with passive cash flow for life.
Hey everyone, welcome to Big Fat Real Estate Checks. My name is Marco Kozlowski, and I'm here with Gabriel Araisha right next to me. And we have Frank that is cold and lone up in Canada.
Canada.
Hey.
Actually, it's not cold. It's actually very warm today.
What is that, like 6 degrees? Yeah, 7 degrees?
No, it's
19.
I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit. 33? I don't know what 33 is.
33? That's like
85,
that's like
90?
80. Wow. It's 80.
You said in Fahrenheit.
Not Fahrenheit.
33 Fahrenheit?
That's cold.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what in Fahrenheit. That's Celsius.
In Fahrenheit, it's 33?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's typical Frank.
That's
That's very good. Yep. In Kelvin, what's it in Kelvin? Go, quick. All right. So as we're done nerding out here and confusing Frank completely, Gabe is we have the pleasure of having Gabe with us today, and he's actually going to leave I think tomorrow. Unlike Frank, when he comes to visit, doesn't leave for months.
Actually, we replicated. He's still in the house. We've replicated a studio in the other room.
Yeah, very good.
Comment on that because it's true. Yeah.
Everything we say, Frank, is true. Just remember that. That's so good. We're totally lost my choose your train of thought here.
Gabe's
but
leaving tomorrow. I linger. Yes.
Yeah. No, I love having Frank over. I really do. Both of you.
It's like a smelly fart, Frank. Yeah.
He's better than
He
this.
lingers.
Hey,
He's
man,
a
well,
much
listen,
better-
I'm telling the truth, man. I'm airing out my yes.
Are we actually
you
going to
are
shoot a
airing out.
podcast today, or are we just going to talk
We're just
about
gonna-
smelly farts?
We're airing out his baggage right
Yes.
now.
Well, it's exactly the topic of today.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to the first 10 episodes, number one, please go check it out. It explains asset-based lending, how we're able to get into assets without using any of our own money, using skill sets instead of cash in order to acquire assets. Specifically in this day and age, in this economy, no matter actually what the economic cycle is, as it starts going down or up, it doesn't matter. We have a secret weapon called asset-based lending, and you have to learn how that works so you really understand the value of this podcast. And today, we're also going to be discussing something that we discussed the last couple podcasts, which is going to piggyback on that. And of course, if you absolutely love this content, please love it, share it, and subscribe to this so you can really get as much value as possible from the content that we do put out, and we try to make it as quality as possible. That's why we are inching towards 2,000 5-star reviews in the about a year that we've been doing this. So we're very proud of ourselves and proud of the content that we're delivering, and we want you to experience great results in your life, and that's why we're here. That's why we donate our time here to really make sure we give you extra value. So today we're going to springboard on what we did in the last session, which was we talked about ego and removing your ego, and now we're going to get into whiteboarding, which is really a process to bring nothing of your own biases to the table when you're having a conversation, and also airing out your baggage prior to whiteboarding. So we're actually going to cover a lot of different topics, and we kind of did this in the last one, but they're all interconnected. So it's really hard to have one focused topic without really bleeding into others. Like whiteboarding is important, but airing out your baggage is important, which we discussed a little bit on the last one, but I thought we would not just me, we all agreed that I think it would be a good idea to really bring this to the table. So baggage and how it weighs you down, but also how it can impede your ability to whiteboard properly, and also the counterpart's baggage, the seller's baggage, or even the agent's baggage, where the agent has had bad experiences or things in the past that are impeding your ability to really communicate wisely and efficiently with your counterpart. So let's talk about airing out your baggage, because it's critical. ABC, airing out baggage is critical. Gabe?
Yeah, well, I could start, but I'd like to, I guess, take the agent's position just because it's going to be clear how it impacts you. And I think when it impacts you personally, it's going to be easier to understand, and then we can reverse that. And if Frank wants to touch on the other side, he can. But so we've had a situation this happens a lot, where a couple of students will be, marketing, and they end up marketing to the same agent or the same property. It doesn't even have to be the same time, but it'll be, one student will go into a negotiation, might actually get into a contract, and then eventually, if that falls out of contract, it could be that another student, weeks, months later, ends up, negotiating on the same property, same agent, and then gets into contract or not with that agent. So, but it was interesting because this just came.
Keep going.
So it's interesting because this just happened now when we were talking about airing out our baggage last week, and this agent that one of our students was working with, just the agent had a bad experience with the student. The student promised to do X, Y, Z, didn't end up doing it, got out of contract. It was a shit show at that point, and the agent was really, really frustrated. And just last week, and this happened, I want to say months ago, right? Like this happened maybe before the holidays.
What, the shit show or the
shit show?
The shit show before the other student got the deal or was working on the opportunity,
Correct.
I should say. Yeah, this is
a while ago, but
this is well before the holidays.
Yeah, and it's
meaning
important.
Christmas, by the way,
Yes.
not Thanksgiving or
correct. Sorry, before Christmas. We're now in whatever we are, June, July, almost June.
Neither.
Well, I'm fast
We're in
forwarding.
May, actually.
Last day of May. Last
But
day
it's
of May
okay.
is when we're shooting this. But the timeline is important because you'll see the impact that the agent has had. So now we have the student that's negotiating with the same agent, and the agent right away, first conversation, hey, I've worked with Canadians before. Or with a Canadian
What has he got
before.
against
and-
Canadians? I
and
want to
ha-
talk to this
well,
agent. I want to talk to this agent.
I had
Give
What
to
I-
me.
what
What's
I-
the matter
what
with
I-
you?
What I find really interesting is that this student is not even Canadian.
right. So could it have been the process? Could it have been the
No,
approach? Well, it could have been his opener, right?
No, but
He's
David's
hanging out
not
with you
Canadian.
guys too much. Maybe. I don't know. That's weird. That he-
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe.
he's talking about me, which
Maybe.
or you
or me, yeah. So in any
I was
case,
involved.
he's like, I worked with a Canadian group before, and they did this, they did that, and this student is like just entering into this negotiation. It's like
wasp nest.
it's as if I think he felt like he missed about 2 months worth of action and just showed up in the middle of a conversation. This guy's just shit. So this is what I mean by baggage. Is this agent brought his prior baggage with another situation, another deal, and it could have been with us, it could have been with someone else. It doesn't matter. And he approached the situation, or this student who maybe has all this cash and is willing to buy this property, and could have just turned them off by indirectly accusing him of not being able to get to the finish line because of a bad experience that they've had in the past. So it just, now look at it as if you're that student coming into this situation, an agent just bombards you with all that information, and you're like,
Or a seller,
what the fuck?
But it didn't do
you
that. The student didn't do that. He didn't even say he wasn't Canadian. I would have been insulted if I was American
fair
and told me
enough.
Canadian. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not Canadian. So there
But-
goes
but-
airing out his baggage, right? The student, which they didn't do.
Right, but that's not his baggage. The students, that's not his baggage. He came in actually, I think, with a clean slate, really, because he just followed a process, asked a couple questions, and then was confronted with all this
Harangued.
baggage.
It was a harangue.
Yeah, harangue.
It was a harangue, like one paragraph
Right,
after the other,
yeah.
about what happened in the past and how, just verbal diarrhea.
Right.
So it was like Frank talking to Frank.
He was traumatized.
Yeah, he was.
He was traumatized.
Well, that's it. He's got PTSD over this situation.
I think he spent
and
his
he's
commission money. That's what happened.
Not,
It could be what it is.
Kids, we
you
get in
had
the
your hand
pool.
up. Frank, you had your head up in the air there while he was talking
fixing
about
his
something.
camera.
No. I did. I know. I was just as.
Or were you saluting?
No,
Were
I
you
wasn't-
saluting
I
us?
wasn't saluting. I was going to make a comment, which I did, but it was about the student. Now, to have an effective conversation, the student should have rebuttal or said something to that comment, saying, "Hey, man, like I said, whatever you had in the past, that's not me. I'm not even Canadian." So they should have called it out. Like, you got to call out the agent, or you got to call out the seller when they say something that's, that's not.
You have to
really
air out the
applicable to you.
baggage.
Exactly.
You have to air out the baggage. It's critical, right? ABC. It's absolutely critical that you air back
100%.
when they have baggage or when you have baggage. Whatever baggage you think you might have or issues, you need to air that out. Not necessarily with the seller, but it needs to be removed. Whatever beliefs you have that are holding you back, or I'm not going to be able to get financed. Well, if you come in with that attitude coming into a conversation, how will you ever get a discount believing that you can't get any money? How will you come with the confidence that you can actually negotiate if you know in your heart that you're not going to be able to get financed? If you absolutely are convinced you're going to get financed, which is going to be the case if you get the right discount, it's like chicken and egg, right? So
Well, you're saying it from an agent perspective. From a student perspective, what I've seen often is the student is not being very transparent with the agent or the seller, and they're basically fluffing them and moving along this conversation for months, weeks, whatever it is. And they got to be really clear in their communication saying, hey, I'm not a retail buyer. I'm not buying retail. This is how we can deploy the money. This is how we can write a check. And they're not doing that. So you're
So forgive me, just to be, so what you're saying is the baggage as a buyer is that we're not paying retail. That's our baggage.
Correct.
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's clarity of conversation, baggage, past experiences, being upfront.
Biases.
Yeah. Here are the skeletons what are the skeletons in this property's closet, right? What's the problem?
Yeah.
How can we? The sooner we can get to that, the sooner we can actually get to an impasse.
Right. And that's going to happen a lot with properties that have been on the market for a while. So we want to know, why hasn't this sold yet?
What happened?
What happened? Like,
how has this not sold
we
yet?
be concerned?
The curiosity. But we have a lot of baggage. We have, a whole section on our baggage, come and see the property first. Well, we do. We do come and see the property first. Well, we wrap it in stories so they can comprehend it better. We wrap it in stories why we don't come and see the property first before we have anything under contract. Make an offer, make a backup offer. We have baggage. You just got to be clear about it, why we're not doing it. We just like to wrap it into a story.
Right. But if they say, well, you need to see the property first before we actually put a contract, that's bringing back, because we've had people tied up before, and once they saw it, they split. Yeah. Right. So that's baggage. So they're actually bringing out their baggage, but we have to deal with that baggage right as away. Soon as, yes, exactly. Yeah. Conquer it the second it comes to the table. So it's like a mosquito that hits your arm. You have to smack it right away before it stings you.
I'm too slow on that reflection. But no, you're absolutely right. If when someone says come and see the property.
Wait,
first
stop. Are you too? Wait, stop. You're too slow in the reflection.
Or reflex.
Okay. Because I'm like
reflex.
Yes. If the mosquitoes are looking in your reflection, there's a whole other problem.
He's hitting the wrong arm because he's in the mirror.
Gabe, I can't hear you if you're standing that way, buddy.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it's like you're looking in the mirror.
Yeah, we're gonna edit that out.
Arm. That's what happened.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yes, I don't look.
No, actually, I would leave that in.
I don't have no mirrors outside, but
all good.
Yeah, but I forgot my train of thought. What was I going to say? So when they come and see the property first, you can be the skeptical buyer and say, well, what's wrong with it, right? Why I come and see it?
But that's interesting, because when they say that, they say it from their point of view and they don't really take you into account. So if we go back to that agent who was upset with a Canadian before and brought that up, that's, your rebuttal could be as simple as, well, I've had a shitty experience working with divorced agents, so we don't like doing that. So his answer could be, well, I'm not divorced. Well, exactly, I'm not Canadian, so why are you telling me this? It's you have to counter with a level of understanding for them that they can see it from your point of view as well, because that's all it is.
Just to eliminate our ego from that conversation, it would be, what does that have to do with me?
Right.
How is your experience impacting our capital or the capital, right? So very, very small question. When their biases are there, how does this whole context have anything to do with me? And again, it's the how and the what question, which is, I think, our next podcast, and is having the right questions to whiteboard with, because the context is whiteboarding, and to come in with no biases. But if there is something that is going to be a problem, or in our bias actually is that we don't want to waste this agent's or seller's time if this is going to be retail. Correct. Or if it is going to be retail, there's got to be a tremendous upside. Or if it is going to be retail, it's going to be all debt, right? Yeah. Where we can just take over the debt with an upside. So there's a lot of instances where we can pay retail, but we have to get there, right?
But it's also, I think, by asking those questions and seeing the reaction, you also are able to know whether or not you want to deal with that type of human in your negotiation. Because there's nothing wrong with walking away from something that is going to end up being a waste of time that you can call out, right away. Because and again, in this instance, it wasn't only the message, it was how they wanted the transaction to be accomplished from the get-go, saying this is how it's going to go down, it's not going to happen any other way or whatnot. And again, this is about them, which if they were using how does that impact you and putting themselves in our shoes to get something done, then that would have been different. And so if both parties have to be able to work on the same wavelength, and right now you're on just a different tonality level, if
Frequency,
anything, right?
completely different frequency,
because they're one's coming from a place of anger and the other one's coming from a place of inquiry. So it's I'm just saying that you can do all this, but most of it is not necessarily just to get into a potential transaction or deal or whatever it is that you're doing, but it could also be just a sign of maybe it's time to just walk away and go to the next opportunity, because it's going to save everybody time, effort, and energy.
Right. Or if a seller says, I need $5,000 up front, remember, Frank, that hotel where non-refundable $5,000 is necessary, or you guys can fuck off. And our answer was, I guess we're fucking off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's these are all biases, again, that are that have to be aired out quickly.
Yeah.
Or, we insist that the seller sees the property beforehand. And if that's really the conversation, and how we answer that is not through ego. I know we have story. Frank is completely right when we say we wrap that around in story, but our story also has to be permeated within their universe and not ours, which is a nuance that we'll get to in future podcast. But yeah, so anything that is relevant to, or that we discover through quality questions, right, will allow us to air out that baggage, or our model, our stories, wrapped in a way that they understand it, right? So if someone's had a really terrible experience with women, and I say, listen, just because you had a bad experience with a woman doesn't mean you're going to men now, right? Doesn't mean that all women are bad. It means the women that you picked were bad. Same thing with buyers or anything else. One does not equal to many. It's like you have a experience with one, Italian doesn't mean that all Italians are bad.
But it's not just about bad experiences, about things or issues that are going to be relevant to your transaction. And let's take a really totally different example here, because I just want to make sure that this is clear. So, say you're going on a, I don't know, that you're in your mid 30s and you have three kids. You have 3 kids.
Can't count that far back.
You've been divorced, 3 children, and now you're going on this first date with someone. Is you going into that date, your baggage is what you've done in your life, and you want to share that because you have 3 children that you love and want to take care of. And if this person is not okay with you having children, you need to have that set out in stone right off the bat, because if they find out 10, 15, 20 dates or months later and you find out that they want nothing to do with kids or they just hate children, that's a waste of time for both of you. So that's what we mean by, airing out the baggage, and baggage could be a good thing for you. It could be just a bad thing for them, or vice versa. So making sure that that's clear, and put yourself in their shoes. If they have baggage to air out and you're on this date and you want to know certain things, if I don't know, they have something to hide, you want to find out later, you want to know whether this is a waste of time or not.
Well, that's what the agent did. That's what the agent did. He was airing out his baggage. He had a bad experience with a Canadian. How dare him.
But he's making the student pay for that baggage,
but that's where
whereas the baggage should have been different.
No. The baggage could have been the same. You can't tell him what
it's actually about both.
Exactly. The student didn't now come back and say, hey, what does that got to do with me being a Canadian? Sorry, you went through that. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm willing to do, whatever. So that's where the air should have been cleared. But the agent coming out with clause and saying, I'm not dealing with Canadians, or I had a bad experience with, that's actually healthy in the conversation, I think. He was setting the tone from the beginning, but now it was the student's obligation, or students, not obligation, but it was the student's opportunity,
responsibility,
at that point, responsibility or opportunity, whatever, to now address what he just said, and let's just air all this shit out. Let what you had in the past. That I'm sorry about that, whatever. But this is where I'm coming from. So the student airs out there. Listen, I'm not here to buy retail. If you're looking for retail or above retail, what's going on now in the market, I'm not your buyer. All right? Can you tell me a little bit more, and then you can peel the onion and find out if there's debt takeover and things like that.
That comes down to skill set, though, Frank. Right? So if someone has no skill sets and doesn't understand that was an opportunity, they're not going to take it.
No, exactly.
Right?
Yes.
That's true.
Right? It's like there's 10 tax liens on this thing. That's an opportunity. Most people see that as a problem.
They run away.
Right. So it's the higher skill sets you have, the more you see problems as opportunities. And the baggage that's being aired out, even our own baggage that's being aired out, is opportunity for the agent to get to an impasse quicker, right? Or to get to a solution quicker. And it's only those that really understand how to communicate and know the rules of engagement in that communication process will really reap the fruits a lot faster. You were telling me in the car about in soccer where someone had, you were playing soccer and then someone actually insulted you or, in Portuguese said something.
Yeah.
And which was airing out their baggage, right? So want to tell me about that experience real quick?
You know Portuguese?
Because I think it's relevant to this.
Portuguese?
He knows everything.
There's a lot of words that you use in many languages that have a Latin root to it that you
I
understand in France.
Fuck,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah. So it's soccer, right? Yeah. See, everybody understands that. I think. I don't know, but yeah. So I was on the soccer field. There was contact, obviously, and then this guy, I guess, wasn't used to it. Just got up and started yelling these atrocities at me and calling me names and all that. This, obviously I've never met this guy before. First game I played against him. I mean, like I said, I just moved to Florida. It was my first game on the field. Don't know anyone. And he started losing it. I'm like, and I came from a place of love at that point. I'm like, listen, man, if this helps you move forward, calling me all these names, I'm really glad to be part of this opportunity to help you grow. So, thank you.
Did he
for
tell you
giving
off
me this
even more
chance.
after that comment?
So actually, no, I think he was more shocked. The referee was looking at me like, what the fuck just went on? and the player just, turned around and shut his mouth. And I guess his other players came and kind of just told him to relax. And actually at the end of the game, he came to me and apologized and just, hey man, it was in the heat of the moment. I go, listen, I get it, man. Been there, done that.
Did he do that because he won? Did they win?
No, he tied.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Which is like a win, apparently.
To some people.
You got a point.
Yeah. To the people that are not used to winning, it's a win. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a moral there is that he aired out his baggage.
Yeah.
Really, right? He had to say something to say, right? And you thanked him for it, and it was confusing. And it actually turned into your favor where he was drawn to you to come to you, right? You didn't come to he went to you. So you created that vacuum. So if you're more advanced, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about there. If you're listening to this for the first time, you're like, Marco's fucking crazy. But it's part of the process of how to pull people towards you in order to attract deals and to not have to work so hard. And when you're a kid, or you run everywhere, and as we get older, we get more wise, and things come to us, right? So we're more energy efficient.
And to be clear, maybe 5 years ago,
you would have beaten the shit out of this guy.
Well,
it would have been a
just
rumble.
waited for another. I would have waited for another opportunity where he had the ball, and I would have went in hard at him. Right? Like it's maybe get a yellow card, but make it worth it. That's the difference. But this is what experience.
You got to slide tackle him.
When you practice this,
Gabe.
I'm not going to do anything.
If you do that now,
5 years
if you
ago,
do that now, your wife's not going to make you play football. Soccer no more.
Ask your son what he would have done in this situation.
I know what happens, and it's because they're. It's
but the point is just that it's the skill set that was learned, right? It was something that it wasn't innate. It's something that had to be developed, and I've grown through the process as well, just like you have. And it's normal not to be there necessarily at this point in time, but it's if you work on these skills and you apply them in every facet of your life, eventually they'll become second nature. This is the first thing that came to my mind. Normally the first thing, like I said, 5 years ago would have been, well, I take his number down, and then next time, could even be next game. It doesn't have to be now, the element of surprise, right? But in this case, the first thing that came on my mind was to thank him and just, draw him in. So that's evolution. That's all it is.
I'm proud of you.
It's elevating your game. I thought it was a great story and relevant. Yep.
and he wasn't expecting it. And he's like, shit, where do I go from here?
You've completely disarmed the situation.
Well, you had a great example before we got on the podcast, right? You had a great example before we started
with
the
the
podcast.
Eminem and the 8 Mile and the 9 Mile movie, where where if
Frank already saw the sequel. None of us saw.
Well, there's 8 Mile, 9 Mile, 9.5 Mile.
it's coming. Yeah, but
And
yeah,
then, you know, 50 Cent is now look like $1. Yeah, something like that.
Inflation hits everyone.
But yeah, if you watch that movie, he was losing the battle when he was doing his rap gigs in the bars. So what he decided to do is air out his own baggage, so the other guy didn't have anything to come back with. So that's where he basically, you know, moved forward, and that's where he got recognized from doing that movie. It's like, you know what? Let me just air it out so they can't come back to me, poking me, and, you know, like you guys poke me all
Insulted
the time.
himself, basically.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna start insulting myself now.
Well, if you and
Yeah.
even with people that knew me when I've been in this education business for a very long time, and when you first get into something, you don't know what you're doing, and I made a lot of mistakes at first. And whenever I have someone that's, you know, hey, I heard that, you know, you guys don't deliver a lot of content, or, you know, don't deliver, you know, to your customers, I'm like, yeah, I did that in the past for sure, because I had too many customers and I didn't know how to handle it, and I had process in place. And now I have process in place, and I'm maniacal about giving content, which you can tell on the podcast. We have, you know, almost 150 episodes, 5-star reviews, tons and tons and tons of them, which means that we're delivering, and B, you know, scour the internet and find anyone that says we don't deliver any on our content. You won't find a single thing. So, and that's the point is, and I say that up front, if I'm meeting someone new that has been in the business or possibly have heard anything, I'm going to air out all the skeletons in my closet immediately. And as even in a job interview, or if someone comes to me and says, hey, this has happened to me in the past. I remember the person that was in prison or something, and I would use it as a badge of honor. Right? I think you were in the house, Frank, when I was saying this, is if I was just, someone was having a problem with, you know, because they had gone to prison, and I would lead with that. I would say, listen, I just got out of prison. I was there for 10 years, and, you know, everyone in prison is innocent. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, but I will tell you that it changed me. This is, you know, something that I'm committed to really giving value. And just so you know, if you want someone that is going to be completely loyal, bust their ass, and prove to you that I'm going to add a lot of value to your organization, then I'll be a good choice. And if that is not, if that bias is something that's going to stay with you and it's not going to be good, I'll just walk away. It's fine. You don't have to hire me. And by doing that, immediately, I believe that I would get hired if I started with that. Yeah. Even if I didn't have a criminal record, I almost want to try doing that, trying to get a job. Because I think if you lead with the worst thing that's there and tell people, and if that is going to be something that's going to stop us from doing business, I'm just going to go.
Sure. They can't say, aha.
Well, it comes down to integrity too.
They can't say, aha to you, right? Sorry. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it comes down to integrity too, because I think when someone airs out something because that's personal, a lot of it is people are really ashamed of it, and that's fair. But if they're able to lead with that, I think it shows, at least from a first impression perspective, it shows strength. It shows that you're comfortable with your situation, that you've accepted, you know, what you've gone through, and that it's something you can't change, and that you're ready to move forward. So 100%, I think it would be worth a try.
By the way, that was during Success Reflex when I was staying at your house week 3, maybe 4.
I think it was week 6.
Something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
But coming out and just doing that is very impactful, because they can't come back at you with anything. Like, shit, they're going to say, damn, all right, this guy.
Right, well, and then you use it as a strength, saying, listen, I can handle Jerry from accounting if I can handle Bubba in the shower, you know? So it's but
well, we don't know if you've handled them. You haven't aired that out there.
Right, but listen, without you know, being weird about it, it's, you can use the struggles that you've gone through as the baggage that you need to put on the table that will actually add value to the conversation. You don't have to hide from the baggage. The baggage can actually, even a negative baggage or something that you've gone through that's bad.
Struggle.
All of you know the shit that I go through on a daily basis. I share with you a lot of the things that happen that really are that harm. Right. Mm-hmm. I don't just talk about the good stuff. I talk a lot about the bad stuff. Even on this podcast, we talk about a lot of things, like me going to jail, just a lot of shit that's happened and continuously happens, because that's life. Right. And I think there's more strength in that than there is in trying to hide from the skeletons. And then how to, to Frank's point before, to circle back on this, is that it's an opportunity. If you do this correctly, you really will get to where the finish line a lot faster if both are just honest in the conversation, not necessarily showing all the cards, right? And spilling the beans, if you will, right? Saying everything that needs to be said. It's just understanding each other's universe and each other's world and where they're coming from is going to be very, very valuable.
Well, it's like when you meet someone for the first time. Let's say we talk to a lot of investors. I remember at the beginning where I was starting to get out of my funk of all the mistakes I've made. I used to actually lead with that, telling them that, hey, man, I did real estate. I messed up big time. I did this. Here's what I did to rectify the situation, and now I'm on a cleaner track of achieving success because I have, the right teachers, the right mentors in my life, and I've recognized the mistakes I've made, and here's what the mistakes were, and this is what I've learned from them. And because I had nothing at that time, like the first deal you're gonna make after you've basically fucked up all your life in real estate, this was. I had
no baggage there.
Right? No, there's no baggage
Once
there.
I completely fucked up my life and got out of drugs and alcohol.
In real estate specifically. But essentially that was, and I used to get that a lot where, appreciate you sharing that with me. It's not easy to share that. So thank you. And I can see that there was something there that, and automatically they had a little bit more, respect, because you're able to deal with failure, which a lot of people are running away from because of the way the educational system is made, where failure is wrong. I have embraced my failures. I've learned from them, and I'm making or taking the right steps in order to change that fate in the future. And that's what made them comfortable in that situation. It doesn't mean we did a deal or that we, that they invested, but it does mean that there's a innate respect there
and trust,
where they've elevated me to be able to talk to them at the same level versus looking at me as, someone that's lower.
Yeah. So your scars and your failures are strengths now, and you communicating that up front, you're basically a sensei, which is, if you're in karate, a sensei is someone that's been there. You've been there. It was ugly, and you pivot, and now you're looking to improve your life and someone else along your journey as well. So that's noble, and that's honest, and that's being very transparent and effective communication. Say this, I fucked up in real estate. I wasn't, I everything I touched, I wasn't successful in everything. I learned. I scraped my,
Had the opposite of the Midas touch.
The Midas touch, yeah. But yeah,
Midas, yeah.
It's almost being humble to some degree. Being humble, saying, I had my failures. I had my, I scraped my knee many times or whatever. But I pivot from that. I lost, like Marco would say, I lost all my money. I was drinking, whatever. I went to prison, met Bubba. But yeah, it's.
I haven't been to prison yet. Nor do I want to. Nor will I plan on doing that. But yeah. It's airing out the baggage, really. Airing out your baggage, I think, is critical, which is really the whole point of this. And if you do that, you're coming from a place of humility. Yeah, I think you nailed it, Frank. On that, your reflection on that was perfect. It's the humility is what's going to. Well, you're coming from a place of emptiness, right? Kids are humble too, in a way, right? Where they're just all curious. Their ego isn't involved, right? It's just complete curiosity. What's happening here? How come this has happened? Are we there yet? What's happening? Like all these questions, and it has nothing to do with their necessarily preconceived ideas yet, right? And the younger they are, the more open they are generally.
Correct.
And the more, because you're coming from a place of humility in some way, which makes you a better, effective communicator and learner to whiteboard, to put things onto, to understand their story, understand their universe. And so look, I think we've been at this for, it seems like an hour now. So I think we gotta wrap this up. But I think, and I hope as a listener, A, you had fun here, and B, you learned something in all the different directions that we took. But bad things can actually be good if you understand how to leverage it and come from a place, again, of humility and love, and not from a place of poor me, woe is me, playing a victim. These conversations were all done from a place of neutrality, not a place of, I need you to feel sorry for me, right? This is all about them and how our past experience can add value to them, and how the lessons learned will add value to them, right? So we've seen this in the past. and we're delighted to help you in this. This is not going to be a problem, right? Because of X, Y, and Z. So I want to make sure that as a listener, you're not saying, well, now I have permission to just whine and complain, because no one wants that. Everything that we're discussing is wrapped into the wrapper of adding value to your counterpart and not scaring the shit out of your counterpart. It's coming from a place of strength and love, not from a place of, please take care of me, I'm a victim, you owe me, right? We're not coming from a place of where I take things for granted, right? Yeah, I'm not being needy. Shit, I don't even think we have a podcast on that, but we need to. Thank you, Frank.
We want
need
to
add
we
that.
all need to.
I'm getting a lot of brownie points on this podcast. I'm going to save this episode.
I'm fluffing your nuts, Frank. I'm fluffing your nuts. All right. So
at least you're being honest.
On that, yeah.
Go reflect on that.
I got to reflect on that. That I can't reflect on.
All right. So as we're all checking our reflection, we're going to end it here. And Frank, thank you so much for your input. And Gabe as well, of course. As a listener, I highly recommend that you listen to this again, because I think I need to, just to listen to. There's really a lot of nuggets in here, honestly, of really neat things, and just take take one or two of these ideas and implement them as quickly as possible today with anyone that you communicate with, loved one, someone you don't like, children, whatever. Don't always love the children, but yeah, I understand. That's how Seymour died. Anything that you can practice, your boss, your counterpart, whatever, someone that, at the drive-through window, there's going to be a way to practice some of these things today. And I highly recommend that you do. And of course, if you do, give us feedback. Send us an email, marco@marcokozlowski.com would be great. Love to get your feedback. Always do. Please like it, love it, share it as well. Subscribe, and really love to hear your 5-star review if this is something that you want to give. If you don't, no big deal. We understand. But we'd absolutely love to, to have this content and message delivered as globally as possible, because I think more people need to understand how to communicate, how to not hide from their past, and be open with it. And I think you'll get a lot more respect as you did, and a lot more trust, and the world will be just a lot better. So Frank, appreciate you very much. Gabe as well. And we'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
If you like this episode of Big Fat Real Estate Checks, then show some love by leaving a comment and a good rating. Also, as a thank you for tuning in today, we've got a special free gift. The journey to passive cash flow for life starts by finding deals, and it's easier than you think. Simply go to getdealsbytuesday.com, enter your email address, and we'll send you a free quick start course called Deals by Tuesday. Even if it's 11 p.m. Monday night, this course will show you how to find discounted real estate deals by Tuesday. It's that fast and simple. Go to getdealsbytuesday.com and start your journey toward life-changing cash flow today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.